Okay, folks, you got Mitchell here. It's getting to be that time of the year again. So we've got a big old pile of wood that we had brought in and dropped here. I'd get closer to it, but we've had some rain for the last couple days and she's pretty sloppy. As you can see by all the sawdust, we've done a whole bunch of cutting. And we've got our rig set up right here, actually. But what I want to show you today is how to sharpen a chainsaw properly, as we had a bunch of guys start on our crew that really had no concept of what they were doing at all. So I got Dad here, and he's going to give you a little rundown of how to do it. So why don't you go ahead and show him what's up, Dad?
Okay, we're about to sharpen this saw, and the first thing is you got to mark one of your teeth, so you make sure that you know that when you come around sharpening it, you get to that spot, you've done that complete side of the saw on the chain. So you don't end up doing more strokes on it than you should.
So you're saying you got to do even strokes on each tooth?
On each tooth.
So if it's 3 on this tooth, it's 3 on all the rest?
It's 3 on the other side as well. So it's very important to know where you started and to finish, getting back to the first tooth that you started with. Because if you don't do that, you're going to have your chain cutting on an angle when you cut your wood. It's not going to cut straight, it's going to cut crooked one way or the other. Like, it depends on how many strokes you put on the tooth. Usually for a quick sharpening, just to keep things up to par, you know, you can do like 2 strokes a tooth. It depends unless you've run into a nail or hit something sharp. If you're cutting muddy wood, you got to sharpen your saw more often, because that'll take your chain and dull it something terrible. So it's good when you get wood 8-foot lengths or whatnot, if you can have it delivered not covered with mud. If it's all covered with mud, it's going to be a headache for you constantly till you get that done. So
okay, well, let's go right ahead.
This is a new chain, and this is likely the first sharpening on it, and so I'm going to do like 3 strokes on it on each side, because we've cut quite a bit with it the way it is. Now you can use a guide. There's different types of guides out there to sharpen your chain with, and this particular guide is a common one that you see all over the place, and it's sort of like for a beginner or somebody that's not done much with a chainsaw. And it shows on the guide the angle of your tooth and how it should be sharpened. Without this guide, the tooth has a mark on it at the back side, which you can use by eye after if you sharpen for a long time. As you get older, you get pretty good. You don't need to use a guide, but every once in a while it doesn't hurt to just check to make sure.
So you can see right there on the guide, it shows the angle that you should be sharpening at, right?
That's right. And
so you would just follow and make sure that angle lines up with the angle of the tooth, and then do a couple strokes here for us.
So this here, I just put this on, and it just popped off there. This is kind of an older one we've had laying around. So here's a mark on your tooth for another guide that you can go by, and that's the one I prefer to use. So I'm going to make a stroke here. See how it goes. Okay, I'm in. Looking at my mark on the back, or you can look at the guide here, which has different angles and so on and so forth for different chains. But this one here is just straight, like that. 1, 2, 3. Nice even strokes, not on an angle, up or down, nice and straight. And it doesn't hurt to take your file and turn it once in a while as you're sharpening, so the file itself doesn't get all gummed up with filings. So there's my first tooth, and what I didn't mark it with usually I take a little marker and mark it, but on this tooth here, I marked it with the file on the back side, so I know when I'm done this complete side. Okay, so here we are sharpening this saw, and like I said earlier, I marked the tooth, so I know when I go around, there I am. I'm back to the spot where I started with. When you look at your guide, you can see your lines, and you can line it all up with the markers on the back tooth or whatnot, and it'll show you like the angle that you need. So this angle here we're looking at, on this guide, it looks like a 25 degree angle.
Yeah.
So with that, we can go on and do our strokes. But myself, since I've been sharpening for quite some time, this kind of slows me down. At night time, if I got time, I'm at home, I'll sit down and I'll use the guide and do it that way. But since we're here and it's wet and we don't have time to mess around, this is basically the fastest way you can sharpen your saw and get on with cutting your wood.
So just go through it and show us.
So there's my tooth that's marked. I'm on my way here. I'm lined up with my back line just to make sure that I'm good. I'm nice and level. There's 1, 2, 3. Okay, move on to my next one. Keeping my line in sight and making sure I'm level. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Nice strokes. If it's really dull, your file will get caught up on the edges of the tooth. That's been all marred from cutting and hitting something. So that's okay, because after 3 strokes it'll be nice and smooth. 1, 2, 3. Nice and level, even.
Can't emphasize enough how important it is to do the same amount of strokes on each tooth.
Also, you always got to keep in mind, nice and level, same strokes like was just said. If somebody's around you and you're doing this, tell them to be quiet until you're done doing what you're doing, because if you mess it up, it's going to mean a lot of work later on to get your saw back cutting straight.
And as you can see, he's skipping a tooth. So you see he does one, and then he skips the one that's right behind it and goes to the next one. That's because the one behind it is going to have a different angle on it, and you're going to need to sharpen it from the other side. So that's why you want to start with one tooth at the beginning, make sure you end up at the same tooth, and then you'll switch sides on the saw and you'll repeat the whole process over again. And there's a double tooth too that most people start with, and that's a good way. You got 2 of them going the same way, you start there and then you know for sure you're finishing there. Pretty straightforward, eh?
Pretty straightforward. Make sure your file stays clean and everything like that, so you can get a good, nice stroke.
And that's basically it right there, folks. That is how to sharpen a chainsaw, using a guide or not using a guide. There's some good key features in there, you know, little pointers. So I hope this is helpful. Dad, thanks a lot for showing us.
You're welcome.
And we'll keep making videos. Please subscribe to the channel.